is Joe Rebelo here with Martial Arts Today Television. And I'm here with a very special guest, a gentleman I've actually known for many years online. Again, a fantastic photographer, as you can see from the images that we'll be showing in today's show. And we're here with Bob Hubbard. Again, originally I knew him as the founder of Martialtalk, and now Bob Hubbard Photography. Rob, it's great having you on the show.
Good to be here.
Rob, the first question I always ask all my different interviewees on our program is, how did you begin in the martial arts?
That's a good question.
That's why I asked it.
Years back, my girlfriend was taking KENPO classes in Alden, New York, and I was going with her to class. The instructor said, "Do you want to jump in?" I said, "Okay." Took a little bit of KENPO. Then he said, "I've got a friend who needs a guy to do websites for him." And he introduced me to Tim Hartman, and I started doing our niece with Hartman. And that was the start of the martial arts. And that transitioned to, hey, let's put up an internet forum for martial arts, which became Martialtalk, which split off to KENPO Talk and FMA Talk and a couple of sites that didn't pan out. And that's pretty much been it. And then following the full path of the journey there, Tim said, "Hey, you're doing my website, you want to take some pictures of some of my events?" Got a pocket camera, took some pictures. They needed work, got some better gear, and that just began the build up to a transition to basically doing martial arts event photography, which transitioned into portrait work.
Wow. Well, we've got a lot to go over. First of all, let's talk about Martialtalk. Martialtalk was one of the premier martial arts message boards on the internet. Originally I started with a martial arts message board through America Online and through the Martial Arts Grandstand channel. And a friend of mine is Kathy Sneelock. Many people know her as KENPO Cars. And and then I found out about Martialtalk. A friend of mine who did KENPO turned me on to it and said, "Hey, you've got to check out this message board," and got involved with it and went through some positive and negative and mind-altering and incredibly frustrating experiences. The goods were great, the bad stunk, but they were always learning experiences, and that's the key. And that's what made it such a great board. And I never realized when I started getting those boards how it would affect my quote-unquote persona, where I had one experience where I was at, I'll never forget it, today we're in Manchester, New Hampshire, and we're here for Terry Dow's 2019 Martial Arts Symposium. And one of the special guests is Christine Bannon Rodriguez. And I was at Christine and Don Rodriguez's Ocean State Grand Nationals. And I was coming out of the men's room, of all things, coming out of the toilet stall to go wash my hands. And this guy walks up to me and says, "Hey, are you KENPO Joe?" And nobody had ever referred to me by my screen name on the internet, so that was a mind blower. And he said to me, the next statement even blew my mind more. He sat there and said, "I really enjoy the posts you write on different things." He says, "I print them up and save them in a binder." "You save my posts in a binder?" "Oh yeah, other people write a couple of sentences. You write paragraphs. You give history lessons." And it was a real mind-altering experience. Now, when all this came together and you started with Martialtalk, did you ever expect it to be as big as it became?
No. Martialtalk came out of what was supposed to be a small little regional Western New York area, with the intent being, you're an instructor, you need students. You want to be a student, you need an instructor. Just a little place to put people together. It was never intended to be more than a couple hundred people. And the first actual attempt at it lasted all of 3 weeks, and the company I was using as the host for it went out of business and basically took the site with it.
Wow.
And that was about the time that I met Tim, and we started bouncing these ideas back and forth, and basically got our own hosting account, bought the software. We were using vBulletin back when vBulletin was really good, and put it together. He pushed it out to a couple of his associates, and then he did a camp up in I think it was London, Ontario, and we had a couple of people from Canada sign up. So now we're an international forum, which had like all of 30 people at this time. And then he went over to Europe, and now we've got Europeans hopping on. At which point, other people started picking up. It started out with a heavy Arnis, just because of his circles, sure. And then we started bringing in Parker's Kenpo and Tracy's Kenpo people, because again, those were the other circles that were overlapping. We had people like Dennis Knatzer come on and write novels on there. Dennis and Ron Chappelle basically would be, you'd sit there and go, they're still typing. I mean, it was just novels worth of stuff, and the amount of information that was freely shared was astounding.
Staggering, amazing.
And, so you had a lot of people find instructors, find training partners, in some cases find life partners just because they happened to hop onto a message board. One of my other sites was a science fiction board, and I had two people who went to a couple of conventions, but they just kind of knew each other from, hey, how you doing? And then they hopped onto the message board and started communicating, and now they've been married for almost 20 years.
Wow.
So it's just, it literally blows my mind to know that, something that I started with just, the idea of, put a few people together, a little local resource, became an international meeting place for people. Most of them good. Occasionally a few creative individuals who didn't quite fit the community. But
as it will be in life, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it's, there's always been plenty of places out there, and we always said, our flavor for Martialtalk was, kind of the environment of what it's like right after the seminars ended, when you're packing your gear up, you're shooting the breeze, you're going over what you learned and where you're going next. That kind of a general relaxed type of mindset, where you'd have most people relaxed, but over there would be the focused, heavy, intense guys, and over there the ones who are just a little bit laid back. But so yeah, that little blend, but overall that was the direction. It was, a place for martial artists to come and communicate,
right,
versus a lot of other sites that were places for people to hang out who had an interest in martial arts, but didn't necessarily want to talk about it. And that, and it's interesting just to see how everything in that community evolved. And that we launched, I want to say June of 2001, and I believe, and you can correct me if I'm getting the date wrong because there's a lot of stuff there, but I think it was like 2 months later, I think it was in August, Remy died. I think it was.
Wow, was it really that framed that way? Wow.
Yeah. And then a month later, we had the September 11th attacks. So it's just,
wow,
it hit at a interesting point of time.
Right.
When I launched it, and other people in the other forum, guys running other forums, heard about it, you got the, what do we need another community for? And I was like, well, because it's different. Different software, different focuses. Over time, a lot of those guys running the boards, we had friendly competitions. And I had a, 2 or 3 who it wasn't very friendly, but for the most part, we did things differently. It's like, hey, we got a trouble user. He's coming your way. Heads up. Hey, I'm having a piece of trouble with the software. Do you know how to fix it? So we had a really good communications with our competitors, if you will. I did competitors in quotes here. I didn't really consider them competitors. They were partners who just didn't realize we were partnered. And most of them are unfortunately long gone, and unfortunately most of them took their knowledge with them. A lot of sites at the time when they launched, space was at a premium, So every year or two, they delete all the old messages. I took a different approach with Martialtalk. It was, as long as I own the site, I'm not deleting anything if I don't have to. So there's epic novel-length, in-depth debates on topics from 2001, 2002 that if you dig far enough back, they're still there.
Right, and I found that through dealing with posts regarding my instructors like David German, of course, Mr. Parker. People were asking about me. I was like, "Oh, go ask KENPO Joe," and I was like, and I realized, wow, that's 18 years ago. That's 17 years ago, and it's amazing that's because in the old days, the big phrase you would always hear in Google was cached.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see that anymore. You don't see that a lot. You don't see people referring to that, but it's amazing what's out there. And thankfully, like I said, Martialtalk and FMA Talk and KENPO Talk was instrumental in doing that and being a force on the internet where people would discuss these matters and topics. And unfortunately, I say very unfortunately, being a former, actually still at present AOL member, and people
They're
like,
still around.
AOL is still around, and I still have an AOL email. So, I'm KENPO Joe at AOL.com. And it's official when I have it embroidered on the back of my gi. I love people when people are writing about that. Can you believe certain people? Yeah, me. Thank you. Yeah. And it's like, and it still works too. Thank you. So we talked about the whole legacy of Martialtalk. And again, in regards to that, we're here today to talk about your legacy in relationship to martial arts photography. So when do you recall first being involved with Tim and doing these first photo shoots?
Let's say about 2005. I got into the photography because anyone who looks me up on the internet is going to basically find I'm an uber nerd. And I had longtime sci-fi geek. I would go to science fiction conventions. I took pictures of people in costumes with a cute little pocket camera. And that, and it was literally, hi, your nice costume, click, 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 point, shoot, and all that. And Tim saw the pictures and said, see what you can do here. And it just kind of got me into it and that. And then I started studying portrait photography. And one thing led to the other. I started doing just, student portraits, your typical headshots for the website. I was building websites at the time, so it was
Silver Star, I believe.
Silver Star, and that, and it was like I was one-stop shop. I built your site, I hosted your site, I took your pictures for it, I did your graphics for it, and that I did your search engine optimization, and that I did all that stuff, and it just grew from there. And then over time, I got burnt out on the tech stuff. So I sold Martialtalk in 2014. I shut Silver Star down in 2015. I transitioned myself away from the hosting, sold that business off, I want to say even maybe 2012, 2013, somewhere in there, and just kind of transitioned away from it. And as I did that transition away, I started focusing more and more on the photography. Sports photography, the martial arts photography, family photography, glamour photography, just looking for what the connection for it all is. And the best way I explain it to somebody is if you take a person and if they're dressed up as, say, Wonder Woman. Is it a glamour shot, a boudoir shot, a pinup shot, a cosplay shot? It depends on the background. Same exact pose, same exact outfit. If she's leaning on a car, it's a hot rod glamour shot. If she's leaning on a four-post bed, it's a boudoir shot. If she's in a hallway at a hotel, it's a cosplay shot. And the only thing difference is what's behind her. And that martial arts stuff, it's, if she had a stick in her hand, was hitting somebody, well, maybe it's an eskrima shot in more than one way. and so I just started putting more and more time into it. I was shooting a lot of events at Tim's, and so, you know, he'd bring instructors in, I do some portraits. He'd do a tournament, I do some portraits. And, you know, a small portfolio, and then, do the math in my head real quick here. It's about 4 years ago, and that I got invited to come out here with him to Terry's event. And, you know, it was one of those, you know, coming out basically take pictures for Tim for his website. And I was able to get a chance to shoot Bill Wallace, Bruce Jutnick, Michael DePasquale, and a number of the other instructors. And I basically created the Masters Portrait line. You know, it's artistic, kind of an old, I called it Masters not just because they were martial arts masters, but because the style is reminiscent of the old master style, you know, Rembrandt type of stuff. And so the following year, when I came back, I brought 16 by 20 prints and frames of each of the instructors to put them on their tables. So you look down the row of the instructors, and it was a gallery of my work with the subject right there. And it was well received.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
And I just kept doing it. And it, you know, it's caused me to continuously get better. One of the portraits I did, I try to, each of those portraits, I try to represent some essence of the subject in there. You know, so someone who is a very energetic individual will have a high energy background. Someone who is calmer will have more calming aspects. One young lady, she had neon red hair. So of course, she has a red background because it's her personality. When I did Jeff Driscoll's, the background is a Japanese indigo, and it has sakura petals falling down around him, which from what I read in the samurai mythos, the sakura petals represent the souls of fallen samurai.
Wow.
Jeff does.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
So, and I got him on a Sunday after 3 days of the event, so he looked a little tired. He looked like the old veteran samurai. So the piece all came together. And if you don't know Japanese martial arts, if you don't know those nuances, it's a nice background. And if you do get it, it's like, oh, little Easter egg, as they call it.
There you go.
You know, so, you know, it's one of my more recent cosplay pieces is Captain Marvel. Well, I'm also a little bit of a smart aleck, so in the background, where in the official Marvel poster is one of the Kree ships, I have the Serenity from Firefly. Another one has the partially finished Death Star in the background. It's, you know, so, but that's also because the subject's my wife and it's her personality. So, but that's kind of where my mindset's on it, is I try to watch the subject on the floor beforehand, or if I don't have that opportunity, hop on YouTube and other Vimeo and that, and try to catch some clips of them from seminars, or just to kind of get a feel for who they are, as opposed to just saying, hey, this is a nice background.
And you know, that's what really attracted me to getting involved with your photography, and coming to this event and seeing your work and going, you know what, I need to get that. Not just I need to get that done. I need to, and I'll tell you, if I had $1 for every time someone said, is that a painting? Because when they saw the initial images, they were like, is that painted? Who painted that? And later someone said to me, wow, how much did it cost you to get that painted? And I was like, that's a photograph. I was like, no. You know, And you know, you never realize where a photo's taken or how. We talked about this earlier. You know, we took this outside on a bright sunny day and went out. It was windy. It was the end of the event and whatnot. I said, we're going to take it here. And I remember Chris LaCava holding on to the background and trying to keep it in place. And they took a picture as we were setting up. And if you hadn't seen that picture of the setup, you'd have never known in a million years that it had been done outside. And that's the kind of things I appreciated. And you know, we did a couple in order to my instructor, David German, and I'd like to do something now that you mentioned this with the background. You know, that would be awesome, having a picture of him in the background, you know, kind of overseeing, you know, that ghost-like image of remembrance of your instructor. And, you know, those are just some of the different motifs that you have available, you know, through Rob Hubbard Photography. And now, Rob, obviously, you know, since you spawned Martialtalk way back when on the internet, obviously, how do people contact you on the net and in general?
They can reach me for martial arts related photos at martialphotos.com. They could also look me up for bobhubbardphotography.com, which has pretty much the full gambit of most of what I do. If they want the family stuff, hubbardphotos.com, and if you know they want more glamour stuff, queencitypinups.com. Not work safe.
Wow, that's pretty intense. And like we mentioned about the photo behind us is just one of many works, and you'll be seeing different pieces of work that Mr. Hubbard's done. And also, I was very happy and thankful that recently Action Martial Arts magazine, through their mega weekend, again, there was photos that I had asked Rob permission to place in the book because I want him to be listed as an established photographer in a major text. And you got a pleasant surprise as you look through it, which was?
And used Michael DePasquale's portrait that I did as well.
Exactly. And that's the key. You know, you never know who is so impressed with your work that they want to place it in other venues. They want to place it out on the net. They want to. And again, the other important phrase that we cannot forget, but also give proper credit.
Give credit, ask permission.
That's the key. Those are the magic phrases. That's the phrase that pays. And, you know, when we had the photos done with this, I asked your permission. I wanted to make sure it was okay. When, you know, the Jesse Bowen, who creates this book, as well as the Who's Who in Martial Arts, Masters and Pioneers books, you know, I'm very thankful that he allowed us to use Mr. Hubbard's photos in the book, and now it stands the test of time. And literally, it was the first book that Action Martial Arts magazine has ever put on the various inductees for their halls of honor. So it's very prestigious. I was very honored and privileged to be involved in that book, and also to have your photography featured. So my final question for today is, what does the future hold for you?
A lot more photography. And that, you know, I'm hoping to continue adding more instructors to the master's line, doing more student portraiture, basically a lot more cosplay stuff. And that, if you know, one of the side projects that I do is I'm part of the steering board for we call it cosplay, cosplayers for causes. And they work with, these are people who dress up as superheroes and sci-fi characters and that, and they do appearances for charities. Red Cross, we just signed up to do an event with the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation in Rochester, New York. And it's one of those things that's dear to me. So more charity photography, more charity events, and that want to help more people.
And that's the key. And you know, really, I got involved in the cosplay community through my student, Raymond Ramus, and meeting different individuals who are cosplayers in the New England and specifically in the Massachusetts area, and also having one of my former students be involved, being the basically owner-operator, chief auto washer at Rhode Island Comic Con. So to have all that involved and to see these different individuals go to children's hospitals and go to various events and go to different places and inspire these children, where they get to see a real life incarnation of their favorite superhero. And to watch a child's face light up in that magic moment where they're just in awe, and then to have a photo taken with them, or just to be in their presence, it means so much to that child.
That's one of the things that it blows my mind, is when I see these friends of mine in their costumes, and I see the kids run up to them. And I mean, when I say kids, I mean, I'm not talking just the little kids, but sometimes it's teenagers, sometimes it's the adults, and it's just the eyes light up. And yeah, the grown-ups know those aren't the real characters, but it's just kind of cool to get your picture taken with Spider-Man. And that my wife cosplays as Harley Quinn and Captain Marvel a lot these days, and we were at the premiere for Captain Marvel, and we're walking through the mall, and this little girl just runs up to her and high-fives her. And it was just this, she didn't know the kid. The kid runs up and goes, wham! And then after the movie, it's like, I'm standing there going, the managers are going to get mad at us, because they're just filling the lobby, taking picture after picture after picture. And he walks up and goes, can I get a picture too? And so it's just incredible just to see the faces light up. And there's a lot of groups out there that do it in that. Ours is Justice League of Western New York, and because we're in Western New York. But there's all sorts of other groups all around the country, all around the world, that spend insane amounts of time and money and energy just to go out and help other people.
And that's the key. And it's always, it's always about getting back by giving back. That's the key. And I want to thank you for giving of your time to educate the various individuals, whether you're watching our television program or watching through YouTube or Facebook, any of social media. I hope we've gotten some education and some enlightenment about the legacy of Rob Hubbard, whether it be through Martialtalk, FMA Talk, KENPO Talk, or again, the newfound legacy of Rob Hubbard Photography. This is Joe Rebelo with Martial Arts Today Television. Stay tuned for more exciting action.